Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, South Africa's Western Cape still counting the cost of last month's devastating floods. Amongst the hundreds of people who lost homes and certainty are farm workers who still don't know whether the employers whose land they lived on will help them put a roof back over their heads. Also, we turn to DR Congo, where the government reports a substantial daily jump in Ebola cases, in one of the highest daily increases since the outbreak was declared in mid-May. Confirmed infections top 800. And a quick look at the World Cup. Ivorian fans living large in the wake of the weekend's victorious appearance in the World Cup. And Tunisia's squad, meanwhile, is reeling from its 5-1 routing by Sweden. But first, we turn to South Africa, where Western Cape is still taking stock of last month's severe and fatal storms. 11 people were killed, tens of thousands of homes were damaged, and around 340 destroyed in their entirety. The province reckons the extreme weather cost it at least 9 million rand, which is a little over 500,000 euros. Now, the area is known for its wine cultivation, and many of those displaced are farm workers whose accommodation on their employer's land was completely wiped out.
Our entire house is gone, with all of our things. Everything's gone, everything we had, food, clothes. Well, we don't know if we're going to get another house. My father worked for the farmer until he died. So we don't know if we will get a house. We will have to wait and see. It's my daughter, my mom, me and my sister. We all live together. There is no electricity or water. We struggle with wood to make fire to cook. The water they brought is not good. So we go and get water from the river.
Well, a month on since the deluges, and as you've heard there, some say that they don't know to whom to turn for help. Some are still turning up to work despite having lost everything, including access to clean water and even schooling for their kids. Now, Mercia Andrews works with an outreach organisation that's been trying to support some of those displaced by the floods in South Africa. Mercia, thanks so much for making the time to speak to me. Now, tens of thousands of people were affected by the flooding overall, many of whom lost their homes. So why are you so particularly concerned about the vulnerability faced by farm workers?
Well, we're not only, well, good evening and thank you for having me. I think we are concerned with several other rural communities, poor communities, but farm workers in particular, because we work extensively with farm workers. They're a vulnerable sector of our community. And you mentioned earlier that some few millions of rands of damage, actually it was billions. The extent of the damage was very severe. And for us, we concerned about the plight of the farm workers, because when these are farm workers whose losses are real, not only have they lost millions, hundreds of rands, just in terms of their little possessions, but also important historical documents, their birth certificates, their identity documents, all these kinds of things. So when these documents are lost as well, they become even more vulnerable. And as the situation is now, I think our concern is that there will be farmers who have access to insurance that can replace a large percentage of the infrastructure that was damaged on the farms and so on. But we are not sure that farm workers' possessions are also included in the losses. We think this is an issue that we need to be taking up. We need to be raising concerns around and documenting which farm workers have lost, what have they lost, how are they going to be compensated, and so on. As Denise, the woman you've just interviewed, said, there's no guarantee that that household of women are going to be compensated at all. There's no guarantee of where they're going to be living. Many of them are in little halls or in preschools and so on. Very little has been done to change their situation currently. So
when you're saying very little's been done, who's supposed to be doing the doing? I mean, beyond organizations like yours that are trying to support communities, who is supposed to be offering them support in the wake of last month's disaster?
So there are two, I think, institutional groups who should be. One is the municipalities and the government, the province, as it were, the provincial government. They are looking at all kinds of disasters and so on. And the second part of that is the farmer. These people work on the farm. They live in the houses on the farms, etc. When their possessions are lost, the owners of the farms where they are working, these structures you see here, these are farmhouses that belong to the farmer, and people are living in those houses as farm workers. So when their things are lost, and when farmers calculate what their losses are and they make claims in terms of the compensation, they should also ensure that farm worker losses are included as well. And we are concerned that that might not be the case. Hence, we are putting a lot of pressure on this issue so that these workers are not forgotten. They don't continue to live without a roof over their heads and without any compensation for the losses that they've suffered.
Yeah. What's taking so long for at least some nominal indication of an awareness of the difficulty that farm workers are going through a month after the flooding happened? Why is it taking so long for any kind of acknowledgement that they are part of the victims that should be considered?
I don't want to sound cynical, Georgia, but this is common. We have several incidents in different parts of the countries or in the region. We're a region that lives in what we call the eye of the needle. When the storms, the floods, the hurricanes come, whether it's in Madagascar or down in the Cape along the coast, poor people are left without anything. The destruction is massive, and yet they have to live in halls, often hurricane after hurricane, flood after flood. Nothing happens. There's no compensation. So this is part of what our messaging is, how we are organizing communities to say, we have had losses. These are the losses. And of course, the losses are not only material. They also the trauma of what happened. The trauma is severe. Often, as I said earlier, the shock of
so
half
sorry
of your
to
house
have to
being washed away.
So, merci, Andrew. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of an insight into some of the experiences and concerns of those who've been left adrift a month after those floods in Western Cape. We hope to hear from you again in the hope that you've made some progress in supporting them and getting some compensation or the like. Well, in DR Congo, the government reported a substantial daily jump in Ebola cases and one of the highest daily increases since the outbreak was declared last month. Confirmed infections have gone up to 808, including 192 deaths. Communities at the heart of its spread are still overwhelmed and uncertain, which sometimes spills over into violence. On Sunday, security forces fired warning shots and tear gas at a funeral in Mongboalu in Ituri province to disperse a crowd trying to seize the body of a suspected Ebola victim. Now, first responders say that they're playing catch-up because of the late detection of the outbreak, which health officials think was circulating for months before being declared in mid-May. Mistrust complicates efforts to isolate patients and convince communities to follow preventative measures. Congolese radio stations and fact-checkers are stepping up efforts to try and counter misinformation about the rare strain.
We have found that a large part of misinformation circulates on social media. So we, as Chugunza Harbori, carry out daily monitoring on social media to detect false information that's being published. And in turn, we verify it and use the same social media platforms to fact-check these claims, providing the population with the correct information, because social media are widely accessible to the public, and this greatly contributes to misinformation. If the population does not find accurate information, it will also fall for misinformation.
Now, Kenya's president says that almost 2,000 victims of protest-related human rights abuses will be compensated. In June 2024 and June 2025, dozens of people died and hundreds of others were injured in annual anti-government protests against increased taxes. Now, William Ruto on Monday said that the payments are a state acknowledgement that harm occurred and was not an admission of guilt. The move was announced during the release of a national reparations framework report. Victims of human rights abuses will begin receiving compensation from next week after vetting by state-funded human rights commissions, with a total payout expected of around $15 million. Well, after years of research and clinical trials, a new injection could change the course of HIV treatment. It's given just twice a year and offers near complete protection. Mass rollout campaigns are planned across southern Africa. Our team in Cape Town sent us this report.
These young people were among the first to use lenacapavir in South Africa. They received the injection earlier this year in February at this mobile clinic. One injection every 6 months provides more than 99% protection against HIV infection. Beneficiaries say this twice-yearly treatment is more discreet than taking a daily pill.
I tend to forget the pill. That's why I stop oral PrEP, because I tend to forget the pills.
And oral PrEP, they tend to not like the pills. I told my boyfriend about it, that I'm using oral PrEP, and he was like, no. He thought I was already HIV positive.
I didn't even experience any side effects.
Every Saturday, Luto and Ukuhle are invited to share their experiences with young people from other areas. Despite having questions, they are ready to embrace the new injection.
Lenacapavir, are you guys going to enroll on Len?
These activists think the demand for the treatment will be great.
That's my main concern, the doses. If the government procures more, then I think we are good.
The government has secured 900,000 doses this coming year, but during a visit to this small clinic in Mpumalanga, one of the 360 centres tasked with distributing the treatment, the Minister of Health expressed his concerns.
We are now going to have generics, because remember, the main problem about lenacapavir is devilishly expensive. As you know, in the States, it costs $28,000 per person. There's nowhere on the African continent we can have that amount of money.
The manufacturer of the treatment said it would grant licenses to 6 pharmaceutical companies to produce more affordable generic versions. Affordable and long-term access to this treatment is critical in a country where HIV has killed more than 5 million people over the past 3 decades.
And a quick peek at the World Cup. Ivorian fans are living large in the wake of their victorious first World Cup appearance in 12 years on Sunday. They took a step forward towards the knockout stage with a 1-0 victory over Ecuador. Meanwhile, Tunisia's squad is reeling from its 5-1 routing by Sweden in the Group F opener in Mexico on Sunday night, with rumours that coach Sabri Lamouchi may even face the chop over the performance. Meanwhile, Senegal's Lions of Teranga are looking forward to kicking off their first 2 group games of the tournament with a face down with France on Tuesday in New Jersey in a showdown that is bound to be an emotional one. It's the first time the 2 teams will be facing each other in a World Cup since 2012. And finally, South African pianist and composer Abdullah Ibrahim died on Monday, aged 91. The icon escaped apartheid-era South Africa to be discovered by jazz great Duke Ellington before becoming a highly influential figure. We'll leave you with sounds of his skill.
Three countries, 48 teams, 104 matches. One world watching. From Mexico to Canada to the United States. No borders, no limits. This is global. This is history in motion. One mission, one dream to make history. Football goes into orbit. From June 11th to July 19th. Experience it here on Earth on France 24.